Hello everyone, and thanks very much for all the support with all of my videos, and I'm very grateful to everybody who kindly supports my campaign to get elected to the Bay South constituency on GoFundMe. So links to the GoFundMe will be in the comments at the end of this video. Today I'm down in Ringsend, as you can see, the Irish Glass Bottle Company site that is now being developed by international investors. Surprise, surprise, that's Ireland for you. But if you consider the history in this area of Ringsend, a very strong, proud, working class community that goes back many generations, where people were employed in this local area. The glass bottle industry goes back to the late 18th century in Charlotte Key, and it provided much needed employment for people in the local area and wider area, and also provided much needed supplies and manufacturing of glass bottles for so many distilleries that were around Dublin and other industries that provided and used the service that was provided by the glass bottles. Now the site here was kicked off in 1932 with the Irish Glass Bottle Company, and it was closed in 2002 by the owners, a Luxembourg-based company, Arta, and 375 jobs were lost. It caused huge devastation at the time, and the fallout is still being felt today, and the reverberations around this wonderful, strong and proud working class community. But today I want to speak about a couple of issues with this development that's taking place behind me. The site was then sold in 2006 by the Dublin Port Company to a consortium of developers. Now, people will be familiar with many of these developers in Irish society that caused such devastation. There's people like Bernard McNamara, Derek Quinlan, people will be very familiar with those names, and the Dublin Docklands Development Authority came to a deal where they purchased this land, 37-acre site behind me that stretches all the way down towards Seanmore Park on this side and down towards the incinerator in that direction over the back of those buildings. Now, they did a deal with Anglo-Irish Bank, and everybody of course would remember Anglo-Irish Bank, famous for Sean Fitzpatrick and his golfing events with Brian Cowan down in Druids Glen, Fianna Fáil Taoiseach at the time as well, and how they helped crash the country with all their misdeeds. Now, it was interesting because Lara Bradshaw, who was also a director in Anglo, was on the board of the DDDA, Dublin Docklands Development Authority. And McNamara himself also had a serious conflict of interest with this development as well. But again, this is how Ireland works. And this comes at a time when the crash came, and then it ended up in the National Asset Management Agency. So the banks who we were sold out by, we had to step up and bail out. The developers also as well. And cause huge devastation across Irish society. And we're still feeling the reverberations to this day. And now the European Union are looking at pushing more austerity in the form of Mario Draghi talking about competitiveness, really. And that's really what's important to note, because this is the agenda they've always driven on ordinary people. And this has had a devastating impact in this community, because in the last number of years there has been Johnny Ronan moving in to this development. Johnny Ronan, another famous developer who we all bailed out to huge cost. But again, he came out the other side, met up with his private equity friends, and has now become the owner of this development behind me. Now, there was plans for up to 3,800 apartments here. Now, these apartments currently being built are in 3 blocks. They should be ready by the end of 2025. And there was a lot of campaigning around trying to retain this land and development for the use of the community. Many in the area that can't afford to live in this area. And I'm just at a location here, I'll just spin the phone around, at these houses over here as well. A lot of these were built in the 80s, 79, 80 they were built for the working classes. And if you consider now more and more people are being forced out of this community, we've seen the explosion of the Silicone Docks, Capital Dock just down the road there, where rents are well over €3,000 per month. And now we have Johnny Ronan, who's moved in here. Following the campaigning, he's ignored the wishes of the community and also ignored political representatives. And it shows the ineffectiveness of the TDs, councillors, and where power really lies in our society. Because all these deals were done with the Department of Housing, behind closed doors, with the developer, with Dublin City Council, about trying to get this development up and running. And recently Ronan offered affordable housing to people, this so-called social and affordable housing mix, because all of these developments that are built in Dublin and across Ireland are called Part 5 housing, so 10% of the housing that's built in this development should be for people on council housing waiting lists. But of course he's trying to circumvent this, Ronan, claiming it's unfair, and there was also deals done where more affordable housing was promised. This is for people who are above the threshold for council housing, and shows you the whole anomaly of affordable housing. Because Ronan has come back and offered affordable housing to Dublin City Council of €450,000. Now, who deems that affordable? I would argue probably 1% of the population would deem that affordable, the ones who benefit from all these policies. And unsurprisingly, only 25 or 26 of these 85 apartments have been taken up. But of course, it's always interesting to see where the money lies in our society, because behind this, we have international investors. We have Ronan making a fortune out of it, who's been bailed out and coming out the other side, ripping us all off with extortionate rents. We have vulture funds making huge profits from this also as well. And on top of this, we have companies like Oaktree, huge global investment manager, is making absolutely huge money from this as well. But of course, this is how Ireland operates every day of the week for the super rich and for the wealthy. And there is a company that owns this called Pembroke DAC, Designated Activity Company. And they manage a fund worth about €200 million. And they're based in a location which is in the same location where Oaktree have their offices in Dublin, 27 Merrion Square. So that's where these have their huge profits and making money out of the misery of ordinary people. And this is also interesting because in the last number of days, Oaktree have found a bit of issues as well in terms of their developments, and issues around corruption and money laundering regarding a bank in Italy, Banco Prangretto in Italy, in terms of fraud and public funds being used and misappropriated. So this is how Ireland works. This is who benefits from the policies of the Irish state. And it shows you corruption, backhanders, shady deals don't go anywhere, and forcing working class people from their communities. As I've said, the people of Ringsend have a long and proud history in terms of living, working here, building up a fantastic, vibrant community. And they have campaigns for many years around this development. But it shows you that the centralisation of power and the fact that Dublin City Council, Department of Housing, Minister Darragh O'Brien, Owen Murphy before him, and Simon Coveney as well, who's riding off into the sunset on his big pension, all benefited their friends from these policies, while ordinary people carry the can every single day of the week. It needs to change in Ireland. We need to radically change what's going on in Ireland, forcing people from their communities, gentrifying areas of Dublin that we're all proud of, and we're proud of our history. We love our city, we love our country, and we love serving the needs of ordinary people. And that's what's critically important now more than ever. So expose the people who are making profits from this and stand up against the endemic corruption in Irish political establishment as well. So thanks for the support. Please support me through GoFundMe if you can, and also please press subscribe. And on November 27th, Dublin Bay South, vote Peter Dooley #1, who's going to stand up for the interests of ordinary people, and also to bring power back to our communities where we serve the needs of the people. Take care. See you soon. Thanks for the support. Bye bye.